Since the earliest times, humanity has sought guidance from invisible forces, divine entities, or inner voices that seem to whisper secrets of destiny. Shamans, prophets, and mystics have always claimed that it is possible to communicate with spiritual guides, beings that transcend common understanding and assist those willing to listen. But what would Carl Jung have to say about this? For Jung, the concept of spiritual guides can be interpreted through what he called archetypes, primordial images that inhabit our collective unconscious. These are universal symbols that emerge from dreams, active imagination, and myths. Among them, we find figures like the wise old man, the great mother, and the trickster, each representing hidden aspects of the human psyche. When someone claims to be in contact with a spiritual guide, they may, in fact, be accessing these deep layers of the unconscious. The first key to this connection, then, is learning to listen to your own psyche. Jung developed a method called active imagination, a process in which a person enters a relaxed state and allows images and voices from the unconscious to flow freely. Instead of dismissing them as mere fantasies, the idea is to interact with them as if they were real entities. This requires a fearless surrender to the unknown, a willingness to cross the threshold of the rational mind and step into the realm of mystery. But there is an obstacle. The ego fears losing control. Our conscious identity tends to reject anything that seems irrational or mysterious. The fear of going mad, getting lost in fantasies, or challenging deeply rooted beliefs can prevent us from hearing these inner voices. Jung warned that connecting with the unconscious requires the arduous work of individuation, a process through which we integrate neglected aspects of ourselves. If you want to connect with your spiritual guides, start by embracing your shadow. The shadow, according to Jung, is the hidden side of our personality, the part we reject or repress. Often, the spiritual guides we seek do not appear because we are denying essential parts of our own psyche. What could they possibly tell us if we are not ready to listen? Practicing mindfulness and engaging in honest inner dialogue can open doors to this connection. When meditating or reflecting on deep questions, allow your mind to bring forth symbols and images. Do not dismiss them as nonsense. Keep a dream journal, as dreams are direct messages from the unconscious. Ask questions before sleeping and pay attention to the answers that emerge in your dream world. Your guides are already speaking to you, but are you truly listening? If you truly wish to connect with your spiritual guides, it is essential to cultivate a state of openness and receptivity. But this does not mean passively waiting for signs or answers to appear. Carl Jung emphasized that the journey toward self-knowledge and contact with the unconscious requires intentional action. Spiritual guides, whether independent entities or manifestations of the unconscious, rarely communicate in a direct, everyday manner. The deep mind speaks through symbols, metaphors, and synchronicities. Jung described synchronicity as the meaningful occurrence of events that, despite having no apparent causal connection, carry profound significance. How many times have you intensely pondered a question, only to receive an unexpected answer shortly after, in a book opened at random, in a seemingly trivial conversation, or even in a dream? For Jung, this was no coincidence, but a sign that the unconscious was responding. Your guides may be manifesting through these subtle connections that the rational mind tends to ignore. To perceive them, you must develop symbolic sensitivity, learning to interpret life signs the same way you interpret a dream. Here's a simple exercise. Start recording all meaningful coincidences that occur in your life. Ask yourself, what is this event trying to tell me? What emotion does it stir in me? What part of my inner journey does it illuminate? Often, the universe responds in unexpected ways, but the key lies in deciphering this hidden language. Jung developed a powerful technique to access unconscious content: active imagination. Unlike traditional meditation, which seeks to quiet the mind, this method encourages direct engagement with emerging images. Here's how it works. Enter a deep state of relaxation. Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Invite a guide to manifest. Mentally ask, "Who wishes to speak with me?" or What do I need to know right now? Observe the images and feelings that emerge. It could be a landscape, a face, a voice, or even an animal. Interact consciously. Ask this presence what it wants to show you. Write everything down without judgment. This practice allows archetypes and inner guides to take form and communicate more clearly. But it's important to remember that not every message will be obvious. Often, what the unconscious reveals comes disguised, requiring reflection to be understood. The greatest obstacle to connecting with spiritual guides is not a lack of techniques, but internal resistance. If there is fear, excessive doubt, or a closed mindset, the signs will continue to be ignored. Jung reminds us that true knowledge does not come from external sources, but from an honest dialogue with our own soul. So before seeking a connection with higher forces, ask yourself, am I ready to hear what I truly need or only what I want? The guides are already here. Inner silence is what will allow their voice to be heard. Many wish to hear their spiritual guides, but few ask themselves, what is preventing me from hearing them? Carl Jung emphasized that the human psyche is filled with defense mechanisms that block access to the unconscious. Fear, disbelief, extreme rationalism, and unresolved emotional patterns can act as invisible barriers distancing us from this connection. The first major obstacle is the fear of the unknown. Jung reminds us that diving into the unconscious means venturing into uncharted territory. Contact with deep symbols and enigmatic messages can provoke resistance as it confronts us with unknown aspects of ourselves. In many spiritual traditions, this fear takes the form of the guardian of the threshold, a symbolic entity that tests the seeker before allowing passage to higher realms of consciousness. Another common blockage is the need for control. Our conscious mind craves certainty and well-defined structures. The symbolic world, however, operates on a different level. It is fluid, paradoxical, and sometimes chaotic. If you wish to connect with your spiritual guides, you must be willing to let go of control and embrace mystery. Then, there is the issue of the psychological shadow. If part of you believes you are not worthy of receiving spiritual guidance, that belief will become a real barrier. Jung stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Many people fail to hear their guides because, deep down, they do not believe they deserve this connection. Developing spiritual self-worth and recognizing your own value is essential to opening this channel. If you have already overcome your internal resistance, you may start noticing that spiritual guides present themselves in different forms. Jung studied ancient mythologies and traditions and observed that many cultures describe entities that assist humanity on its journey. These figures can be interpreted as archetypes that take on various forms. The wise old man or the great mother represent deep wisdom and guidance. They may appear as elders, spiritual teachers, or nurturing maternal figures. The hero or heroine, a symbol of inner courage, often manifesting as mythological characters or figures that inspire action. The trickster, an unexpected guide who teaches by dismantling certainties. This archetype often appears through seemingly chaotic events that force personal growth. Power animals. In shamanic traditions, certain animals symbolize qualities we need to integrate. Frequently dreaming of a specific animal may indicate a message from the unconscious. To identify which guide is manifesting, observe patterns in your dreams, meditations, and synchronicities. Ask yourself, who is trying to communicate with me? What message does this presence bring? If you want to deepen this connection, creating a personal ritual can be helpful. It doesn't have to be tied to any specific religion, but should be a moment of intention and presence. Here are some practices that can facilitate this contact. Spiritual journal. Write down insights, dreams, and synchronicities. This helps recognize patterns and notice when a guide is reaching out. Meditation or active imagination. Set aside time to quiet the mind and allow images and messages to emerge spontaneously. Use of oracles. Tools like tarot, I Ching, or runes can serve as bridges to the unconscious, offering symbolic answers. Connection with nature. Many guides manifest through natural elements. Meditative walks can help open perception. Lucid dreaming. Before sleeping, ask to meet a spiritual guide. Upon waking, record everything you remember. Spiritual guides, or the wisest parts of your own soul, have always been present. More often than not, what is missing is not their presence, but your willingness to listen. Even those who deeply desire to connect with their spiritual guides often face a dilemma. What if this is all just my imagination? The rational mind, shaped by a world that values only the tangible, tends to dismiss subjective experiences as mere illusions. Carl Jung, however, argued that reality is not limited to what can be measured. He saw psychic phenomena as legitimate expressions of inner reality and maintained that the experience of the sacred was a psychological event just as real as any occurrence in the external world. The key, then, lies in balancing faith and skepticism. Healthy skepticism prevents us from being led astray by illusions, while faith allows us to explore unknown territories without mental barriers. Instead of seeking definitive proof of the existence of spiritual guides, it is more useful to ask, do the messages I receive make sense for my journey? Do these experiences help me grow and become a better person? Do the symbols and insights that arise align with my intuition and deepest feelings? By approaching spirituality with an open but critical mind, we avoid both fanaticism and excessive disbelief. What Jung teaches us is that the value of spiritual experience does not lie in its objectivity, but in the impact it has on our psyche. Many spiritual traditions speak of tests that appear along the path of those who seek deeper knowledge. These challenges can take different forms: external difficulties that test your patience and resilience, periods of silence where it seems the guides have disappeared, internal conflicts that arise, requiring greater integration of the shadow. Jung described this process as the hero's journey, where the individual must face trials to achieve the wholeness of their being. The connection with spiritual guides is not a free gift, but a relationship that demands commitment. If you feel that the signs have stopped or that you are struggling to connect, ask yourself, what do I still need to learn before taking the next step? Am I truly ready to hear the truth? Or am I just seeking comfort? What emotional patterns or limiting beliefs are still holding me back? Often, guides do not give us the answers we want, but the ones we need. Being open to the unknown and accepting that we will not always understand everything immediately is part of spiritual maturity. A true connection with spiritual guides is not just a mystical exercise. It transforms the way we live. If this contact is genuine, you will notice profound changes, greater clarity about your life's purpose, a sense of peace and trust in the flow of existence, the ability to see challenges as opportunities for growth, openness to new perspectives and insights. More than receiving answers, this journey teaches us to ask the right questions. Connecting with spiritual guides is not about finding shortcuts to avoid challenges, but about developing the inner strength to face them with wisdom. In the end, the true master we seek is within us. The guide we long to find has always been there, patiently waiting for us to be ready to listen. So now, the question remains, are you ready to hear? If this content resonated with you and helped you see your connection with spiritual guides in a new way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, we explore deep topics on psychology, spirituality, and self-knowledge, always drawing from great thinkers like Carl Jung. Now tell me, where are you watching this video from? I'd love to know how far this message is reaching. Drop a comment and share your experience with us. See you in the next video.